Caribou confirms our fears, Luffy has the dopest I'm him moment, and Vegapunk is spilling some tea.
He's a good man, Savannah. A good man.
Egghead has really been becoming one of my favorite arcs lately, and if it's any indication, I feel like the final saga is gonna blow our minds. What's good? I'm Jess, aka Coco Sensei. I do anime and manga related content, reviews, and occasionally talk about Jesus.
Wait a minute!
If you're new, welcome, get a snack and sit down because we got a lot to talk about. Today we're recapping chapter 1108 of One Piece, so here's your spoiler alert if you have not read it. So this chapter starts where we left off, with Caribou trying to convince Carolina Devon and Van Augur to take him to see Blackbeard. He tells them that he has important information, and he confirms our fears, saying that he knows that Shirahoshi is the weapon Poseidon, and that Pluton is underneath Wano. Super disappointing because this is obviously going to cause some problems for the Straw Hats in the future. Then we cut back to the Navy, who is struggling, okay? Struggling against the pacifistas. The tables have turned in a dramatic way, and even with all those battleships, the Navy is the one at a loss right now. So we see the vice admirals talking amongst themselves, saying stuff like, "There's nothing we can do here, and is it possible to cancel the buster call?" And then someone finally says, "The priority right now is to get the pacifistas back in our control." So Vice Admiral Doberman orders them to eliminate Bonnie. Now remember, Bonnie is at the highest point of the command chain for the pacifistas. We see Bonnie and Frankie are running, and we see Vice Admiral Tosa say, "I've got the target's rear position. Executing now." He lunges at them using a move called the Tosa Bite, which is just 10 finger pistols formed like a claw. But a giant whacks him over the head before he can get to them. Bonnie, Frankie, and Atlas freak out like, "What? There are giants here? Are they new enemies? Because we're in a hurry." Now remember, with everything going on, Bonnie, Frankie, and Atlas have been in the middle of the commotion, so they didn't know the giant pirates were even there. And remember, Frankie joined the Straw Hats during Water 7, so he doesn't actually know Dory and Broggy. But Dory and Broggy say that they've come to help the Straw Hats, and they've brushed up on their new members, but they don't recognize Frankie, so they ask them, "Are you guys researchers?" Remember, Frankie's new bounty has a picture of the Sunny on it, which is actually very funny. Frankie informs them of who he is, and Dory and Broggy explain who they are. Then Bonnie tells them Luffy, Sanji, and Vegapunk are still in the middle of the island, and he asks them to help. Broggy says of course they will, and then they order their crew to take Bonnie and Frankie to the ship. Then we learn that the Navy communication lines are down right now, and Vice Admiral Bluegrass and Vice Admiral Dahl are headed to where the giants are. Next we see Sanji and Vegapunk talking. Sanji is trying to move him and get him out the way, but Vegapunk says to leave him. There is something on the island he needs to protect. He then says he was hoping to not have to tell Bonnie about her special authority until she was older, but now that he has, he knows the government will be after her. He tells Sanji to please keep her safe. And they're talking all while Saturn is getting closer, and he's looking crazy. Sanji says he's looking less human by the minute, and he notices that Saturn looks like he's coated with poison or something. Saturn lunges at them, but Sanji picks up Vegapunk and dodges. Luffy is bouncing around laughing, saying, "Get him out of here, Sanji, and ignore him if he shouts in pain." But just then, Kizaru kicks Sanji, sending Vegapunk out of his arms, and he stabs Vegapunk with his sword.
Man, boo. Tomato, tomato, tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes.
Luffy and Sanji cry out, "Vegapunk and Appleman." And then Sanji picks him back up and starts running. Kizaru's lame ass is right behind them though. But then the hypest part of the chapter happens. Just then, Luffy grabs Saturn by the head and wraps his hand around Kizaru. Kizaru spits up blood, and Luffy says, "You guys aren't going anywhere." I was so hyped at this moment because I'm like, okay, we ain't got time for this no more. We gotta go, okay? Then they cut back to Sanji, and Vegapunk is not responding. Then we see some machines power up back in his lab, and a recording of Vegapunk starts playing. It says, "Hello out there. Come in, world. I am Dr. Vegapunk, the humble genius scientist. While many of you will likely be shocked by what I have to say in this message, I assure you that it is the truth of this world." And that's the end of the chapter. It ends in such an amazing way. I really can't wait to read next week. One thing about Egghead, Oda has been dropping a lot of information about the world, so I'm curious to see if he's going to drop some Void Century information If he's just gonna tell some surface level government secrets or some future government plans. Like, there's so many things he could say. And is Vegapunk actually dead? Because it seems like he rigged his body some kind of way that if his main body dies, that this recording would play. Or is it that he just transferred his consciousness into something else? I'm very curious to see how he explains this. Also, Luffy getting serious and grabbing an admiral and a Gorosei is insane. Like, how strong has he really gotten? This chapter was dope, and Oda keeps doing his thing. Drop your Vegapunk predictions in the comments. What do you think he's gonna say? If you want more videos like this, remember to like and subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you know when I'm dropping that brand new hot shit. I'm Jess, aka Coco Sensei, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Love you guys.